What's up, YouTube? Got cars to look at. We got a lot of Greenlight. Probably gonna have to do a 2-segment video because I got so much cars to look at. We're probably gonna look at about 7, 8 cars. This one, and then we'll do some more next because I got the new releases that just came out, like the AMC Matador in particular. That was kind of cool, and some other things. So we'll look at those in the next video. But we got some returning castings in this one, and also for the collection, I got a couple more dualies. These are a little bit more commercial oriented trucks. They have service bodies on them, so we're going to take a look at those too. I modified them slightly to make them look a little bit more realistic. Let's start with some cars. Well, let's look at a Jeep. This is Vintage Ad Series 2. I really like this package on the Jeep, the Golden Eagle package. Supposedly they got the 304 AMC V8 in them. I think that came with that as well. So this is the short wheelbase CJ5. Kind of had to get rid of the CJ5 in the early 80s because it was deemed unsafe. They kept with the longer wheelbase CJ7 until the Wrangler came out. Let's take a look. I like the package. I kind of hesitated on this. Take a screenshot of the back too. Take a look. This is probably one of the few CJ5s. I usually get CJ7s. I just like them. They look a little bit better with the longer wheelbase. I think it goes from like in the real truck, basically 10 inches difference in the wheelbase. So 83 inches to 93 inches. And we'll look at a CJ7 just real quick. You can see the difference on the door. That's the biggest giveaway. Is your door line. Width is the same. Height, that's the same. Track, that's the same. It's just shorter. This is really what they originally were. They were very short. When you get in the front, it would almost... They'd have that door line by the rear wheel. That shows you how short they were. Let's take a look. Got a removable top. This is like a dark brown. Just like the ad says, it was kind of like set up like this. This trim package ran from the 70s into the 80s. So for a few years, they had it done. Look at that. Pretty clean. They even have the wrinkles in it because that would be a plastic top. Plastic windows with fabric. I thought that was kind of cool. You can see the wrinkles. Let's take the top off. You kind of get a sun visors going on up there. Other than that, seats are separate pieces, dashboard separate, so they just need to be taken off and reseated. They're a little crooked right now, but it's good detail because it's a different color. Complete plastic windshield. They paint. So they do a good job on the casting. They do. The only problem with it is the axle is too far back on the front. So that's kind of one of the big issues I have with it. Other than that, the car's good. They just need to be moved forward. I've done that on some vehicles. But you gotta take the chassis apart. CJ5. So, Vintage Ad Series. Little truck to go with the Jeeps. Got to put the pins in the back on this, or it'll snap. All right. Moving on. Let's take a look here. Vintage Ad Series 2. Very cool. Let's look at some dually trucks. I only have the package for one of them. This is the red one. This was like Dually Drivers 3. A lot of people have been getting this. You can use the service body on this even if you don't want to use the crew cab and put this on like regular cab older trucks. I mean, these service bodies look the same from many decades, so you can go back and forth. You know, basically late 60s and on up. They kind of had the square look to them. This, of course, would be on a dual rear wheel truck. It's very wide. M2 makes a service body like this that's like a single wheel setup, so you can get a single wheel one too. But what I did to this was I don't have a. I guess I could. Where's my other Chevy? Well, I took the running boards off and I took the lower stripe off, so the Tampa work here. Took that off and then also painted these black, this black, and I set the ride height of the service body up so it matched the bottom of the cab. This on Greenlights is down like a millimeter or two, so it sits really low. The gap between the wheel and the fender line is almost non-existent, you know. So they do have service bodies, I guess, that are a little bit lower on the frame. But this one, most of them that you see in real life, they're always going to be level with the truck. So I picked it up on this one and on the service body with the auto crane. So we'll look at these in a second. Did the same kind of treatment. I wanted this to look a little bit more commercial looking than like an L, because they're using like an LTZ cab setup with like this service body. They don't chrome the rims, so it's hard to picture it like an LTZ. They'd have polished wheels. So I did more of like a work truck LT package, chrome front, but you know, you still got your black mirrors, black door handles, no side trim on the doors, and it turns out pretty good, especially once you level out the service body with the chassis of the truck. That looks a lot more realistic. So I took the running boards off. They're really big. They really just didn't look great with this, and kept the hitch. Let's take a look here. Some of the detail. So they do good casting. They tint the windows and everything. They're trying to make this like the 6.6 liter Duramax diesel truck, so it'll have an Allison transmission in it, heavy transmission. This is a 35 1-ton truck. They make them in bigger capacities now. They'll do a heavier front axle too, and this truck will be even higher up, and the axle's even heavier in the front. But this is a kind of like a standard issue 1-ton truck, 4-wheel drive, service body. So yeah, I drilled it apart and took it apart and everything to set this up. I shimmed the back bed up and it sits level now. Same with the white, and actually the white's kind of cool looking. It's got that service crane on it, so a lot of these guys will run generators on these trucks, have welding and tube benders, things like that. Whatever they're trying to accomplish. They have a bunch of grease in the truck. They can service your vehicle. They can take tires off, replace tires. They do all sorts of jobs. Mobile maintenance, things like that. And you see probably a generator welder up here. You'd probably see some gas bottles, whatever else they need to do. It's a cool looking truck. I love it in white. And again, I raised the bed up. I took the silver trim off the door, even though there's still a relief for it. I took the silver off, so it kind of makes it look more plain. So they did a good job on this. It would really be nice. They keep doing the crew cabs. You know, a lot of these trucks are single cab trucks with the dually, and I think with a lot of these commercial applications, these trucks will look better once they do like more like a work truck style. They either do an extended cab or standard cab dually, and I think we'll be in business. I think that'll look really good. A lot of crew cabs out there, I get it, but a lot of these trucks are single cab. This might even look good with, you know, a different front end, because they'll use these service bodies, but with a medium to heavy duty front end truck on it. So maybe something like that I'll do something like that soon. This one, yep, I drilled it open too. Kind of had to disassemble it so I can raise this, but nothing else. I mean, just a little bit of a detail. All right, 3500 dualies. More Greenlight. Let's look. Let's look at the Rancheros I got to the collection. So these are the ones I was missing. I actually found them. One I got online, because this one was hard to get in the area. The yellow Mecum car. This was one of the first releases of this the car truck. 72 when it changed to that Torino body front. So let's take a look. This is a GT package car, so this is supposed to be a yellow on yellow car, even though they didn't really have yellow interiors. Greenlight thought they did. Greenlight, very, very yellow in there, but really they're trying to capture a color that's on this, which is more like a mustard. And you can see the darker dashboard. So those are the equipment on the vehicle. Very high option car. I mean, you got a 4-barrel 351 car, automatic, power steering, brakes, air conditioning. Lots of equipment for a truck. Basically, that's kind of like people would buy these cars really not to use them all the time so heavily. It's more of a statement. But I think it looks great. I kind of hesitated. I saw this the first time it came out and I just missed on it. But I decided to get it. I thought it was kind of striking. They didn't make too many GT Torinos. So having it in the collection is good. It's definitely nice. Definitely have a stripe package like that. So this is really the last hurrah for muscle cars. 72, 73 really was the end of it. This is just a kind of a small block Ford car, but still hypo. Still had 4 barrels. The strike package is really good. Again, 72 first year for this body, and they really didn't use that front end. Or 71, something like that. They were close to the 70, 71 kind of Torino style. They went to this arrangement, and then they quickly went to what we're going to look at next, which is the 73, which is right after this, and this kind of is like the Starsky and Hutch front end car. They went into the 70s. So look at this too. This is a hobby shop release. So we got the first one is a Mecum car. This one comes with surfboards. They kind of pop out. They get lost in the mix, so I'll probably save the package and put it away. But let's take a look. I like this car. It's wood grain. BFG radials on it. And this is the set, what is this one? Series 8, just so if you want to check it out. There you go. We got most of those. Most of them. Not all of them, but I got most of them. So we looked at the, and you know what? The hood opens in this thing, but it was chipping the paint on there, so you might have to refrain from opening the hood. Sometimes they'll paint the cars and the hoods, they'll cure, and they won't open without damage. Straight pillars. I've had cars come in and the pillars are crushed. So straight. And you can see the difference again on the grill. See how they changed. What would you rather have, this one or this one? I think this one would be more interesting. Obviously, when you look at the side profile, they didn't change anything there. It was just all the doghouse. Even the tailgate. Same bumper. Greenlight's one of the Greenlight's better castings. I mean, we looked at this last time, but you can see, when you look at the taillights, you can see the relief in there. The bumper, the sculpture of the bumper. Look at that. Wood grain on this is actually pretty good on the Squire. So they had a package that was a Squire package. It's kind of like a luxury package type deal. So you could have your flavor of having a hot rod like a GT, or you'd have like more like a luxury one. They were trying to make a Ranchero for everybody. This would have been kind of high option. Let's look at that Ranchero Squire on the quarter. That's a real fancy one. Very pretty. This will tow trailers. These cars look very good towing trailers. You know, if you're going to be using this would be a cool car to go to the racetrack with. Have your drag car being towed by your Ranchero. Okay, so we looked at that. Serial numbers. Guess we looked under the other ones. I think it's 1970 on the back there. And then this one, 0353. Do they make 10,000, 1,000, 7,000, 5,000? I think they make a lot. I mean, I see you can get second hands, but some of them go up. I'm just talking about Greenlight in general. If there's a car that you've missed, and maybe 2 or 3 years have passed from whatever date it is today, you look back at certain of those vehicles, and Some of them can go quite high. It just depends on, if they make it once or twice or things like that. I've seen hot pursuit cars are very desirable in certain liveries. I've seen certain hobby releases get very desirable. It just depends. I like the Greenlight cars that I like. I don't really speculate. I'm not a Hot Wheels type person, or I just like the castings that I want to see on my shelf. If I get a couple extras just because, they kind of stick around, but I don't usually display them. So it's always a changing environment. Let me look at this. We got two more I want to look at. One we've seen. We're going to have Deja Vu. Basically, Detroit Speed. This is a company that makes aftermarket stuff. And they have test beds. So this is a 84 Monte. It's a G-body. I already have this car, right? Most of us probably do. This car came out as a muscle car series or something like that. Oh no, hobby shop. I think the one I got was a hobby shop release. It was blue. SS car. Got the Chevy Rallies just like this. Same thing. There's your information there. And those are the cars. Most of them, they have the aftermarket quote-unquote wheels and tires, but they're really just factory wheels and tires that they've done for other cars that they call them like custom ones. So I'm actually going to open this up. I don't know why. It looks exactly the same, but for this video and also for my curiosity, and just because this is my one of my favorites. So here's our original, and that's from that other release. So we'll see. We'll see if we can pick out some details. I've got my hobby knife. I'm just scoring it. Let's just open it up here. Try to soak in the little Monte Carlo in front of us and see. So these cars, probably contrary to some popular belief, never came with the 350 Chevrolet. And on the course on this platform, these Monte Carlos, basically in the late 70s and early 80s up to about 87. They ran to 88, but I think production stopped in 87. This is 84. Well, this platform, the quote-unquote SS package, always had a 305 HO motor, dual exhaust, but they never put a 350 in it, which is kind of odd. They turbo a 6-cylinder on the Buick. They turbo it up, but they wouldn't put a 350. I mean, this car could have had all sorts of motors. So here's the new one, and here's the existing. So let's take a look. First things first, I think the wheels are better on the new guy. Obviously, we see the BFG radial TAs. Kind of crooked. There's a little bit of flash on that tire. You can see it's out around. That can be fixed. Shade-wise, this is almost identical. Sometimes this looks darker than this one. But the window surrounds, they're all blacked out correctly. Tampa works the same. There's the existing one I've had, and there's the new one. A little bit more ghosting on this car in terms of the paint, so you can see the paint along the trim. Get my pencil here. You can see the paint's lifted up on the edge, so they sprayed this a little either heavily or it was thinned a little bit. Let's see if there's a production number on here. I think it's right there. Let's see if I can get this to... So I think that says 1199. But in this one, 3165. So I mean, the wheels on this one are much better. You can see they also put the silver in the middle, so I like that. Let's see if the hood opens. Get it with the knife. So yeah, your 305. It was carbureted the whole way through. Never had fuel injection. Let's see. Let's see if we can get that. Of course, you got that Chevy V8 air cleaner that everybody's so familiar with. You can barely see. Trying. There we go. So, I mean, they use that design for everything. So there's the newbie, and there's the existing Monte. So there's our front ends. So Greenlight did this all in diecast. They didn't do a separate plastic front end. They've done that on a lot of cars. And it kind of is hit or miss in terms of how good it looks. They've done that most notably right now on the LTD wagons and the Monaco cars because the clip changes. So that maybe that was just foresight in their account because the front end would change, but not the body. So they had two front ends for mine, actually a bunch of them, but during this period they had this front end here that's kind of like an Endura front end, like a Pontiac Trans Am, kind of soft. And then they had a traditional one, which was really more set up, you know, quad headlights, but it had a chrome bumper, chrome bumpers both sides. This is more all body colored on these cars, and this front end was exclusive. This Aero front end that they put on there. And they'd run these cars stock cars. They had an Aero back though. I don't think Greenlight's done Aero back. They probably might, you know, knowing them. The other thing about it too, if we're looking at shade variations, this is darker. The blue in here is darker. So all around darker on the existing, and this is the new one. So it's lighter. So I got two 1984 Monte Carlo SS cars. V8 automatic. They never came with a stick shift either. So kind of more like a boulevard cruiser. I think I'll have to jog my memory every time I look at these two. I'll have to remember which is which. I think I got it sorted out for now anyway. Alright, next we're going to look at something kind of new. It's a 92 Ford F-150. This is part of their anniversary series. Look at that. So, kind of a stock looking truck, right? Red with the black. This is a 92. So, yeah, 92 was the first year for this body. It went up to 96, and then 97 went to that super Ford Taurus look to it. But this is still old school Ford. They were doing kind of a front end, and the body panels, they were updated, but basically based on what they've already been doing since the 80s. So in terms of the body sides and everything. Still had that dent side look to it. Same doors. Just an updated truck. Suspension, engine changes, things like that. But your basic layout was the same. They'd have a twin I-beam front suspension. They'd also have, I think, a solid axle, still four-wheel drive, depending on if it was heavy duty. I think it was still semi-independent on the half-ton, and then when it went to the 250 and the 350, it went to a solid axle front with a leaf spring. It had leaf springs in the back, coil springs in the front on the half-ton. This is like a two-wheel drive truck. I mean, they might say it's a 4x4, but 75th anniversary, so probably the Ford truck, like F100, the F-Series. This was in the set that came with the CHP, so the 89 box Caprice, the CHP car, that was part of this set of anniversary vehicles. They did a really good job on the wheels. I mean, it was funny. Greenlight foreshadowed what they were going to do with this truck because they put out a Ford truck wheel and tire set. And I saw this wheel before the truck was actually released, and I noticed it. And I said, oh, they got something cooking up their sleeve that's pretty good. This is like that stamped steel wheel that they either ran in chrome or regular painted steel. A little bit heavier, more option truck like this XLT. A lot of them would have these chromed steel wheels, but they got the dish right. They put the stupid tires on I don't really like, but they're okay. They're a little bit better this time. Truck rolls good. You notice this F-Series, it's got the post behind the light, so you get that very noticeable. But the way the light is molded and the grill, it's good. It just needs some touch-up work. So these trucks, you know, you could get a you can get a 351 in this. A lot of them had 302 V8s, a 5-liter, but you could get a 5.8-liter truck. By this time, everything was fuel injected. They didn't have any carburation anymore. 4-speed automatics. They also had a 5-speed manual, 4-speed manual as well. They had an inline 6 that's actually pretty stout. I've driven a couple of the inline 6 ones with stick shifts. They're actually nice. Very smooth. It's about a 300 cubic inch 6-cylinder. Very nice 1x4. I think it was a push rod too. All push rod V8s. We can compare this. I got the wheels off of this, but this is our first series with the bed topper. Excuse its appearance. I got a couple of these working. I'm doing some wheels. This might be lifted, but we can see here, and then also we got this one that I've already shown, the Lightning. So the Ford collection's getting there. I think these would be better if they did the ones from the 80s with the square front end, because we could have the nicer 80s two-tone colors like brown and cream or something like that, or the greens that they would do. I think I'd rather have an 80s one if we're going to do this body style Ford. Hopefully they don't do the rounded Taurus looking ones, the 97 to I think they go up to like 04, something like that. So not my favorite truck, not my most favorite one, but this is cool. Well, we looked at some Greenlight. I got more, so we got new castings in the next batch. We're gonna make that video pretty soon, but I'm gonna try to pull out the 1/18 scale I got sitting around. We'll get that out of the way because that's actually kind of great. Very odd subject for 1/18th, so we'll look at that. But we looked at some Greenlight, little short video, or I think it was at least short. Thanks for all the thumbs up and all the nice comments and your subscriptions. It's much appreciated. And more to come, more to come. Till next time.